I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpm.fm to discover more.
Shakespeare can be intimidating for artists, for audiences. People often put Shakespeare on a pedestal or try to dumb it down. We're doing neither. We're taking these texts that still resonate in so many ways and handing them to a diverse set of today's most exciting playwrights and saying, what would you do? How would you translate this into contemporary English verse from your perspective, using your knowledge and your artistry? We're here to decolonize and democratize Shakespeare because these stories are for everyone. Visit playonshakespeare.org to find a modern verse translation of Shakespeare and get the playwright back in the room.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
The Sparkfile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
I'm Laura Camien.
And I'm Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people clarify and accomplish their creative goals.
Know that just by listening to this podcast, you are joining a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But hold up, you might be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
A spark file is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and fascinations. Every episode, we're going to reach into our very own spark files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, we're going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take some of those sparks of inspiration and make something of your own. So without further ado, let's open up the Spark File. Season 6, baby.
Season 6 of the Spark File. How fun is that?
It's super duper fun. I'm not sure
Remember?
if this will be the first episode that we post.
I think it will be and should be, and we shall make it so. Yeah.
And we shall make it
And we shall make it so, because you know what? We own this thing. We're the bosses
of this podcast.
That's on this podcast. We can make all the decisions.
Hey, I feel like we should kick it off by welcoming. We might have some new listeners
I
up in here.
I was thinking about that, and I'm very excited to welcome some new listeners. And I was like, what would we want to tell them? And something that came to mind for me, Suze, is that we like to share all of the ideas that we're simply not going to have time to make in this lifetime. And if anything sparks you, our motto is please take it and make it. So that's one of the things. And then we also were like, you know what, in our next chapter of our life, having done a whole bunch of creative things, what do we want to make sure that we are doing with our lives? And we kind of wanted to build in an infrastructure that would require us to keep our eyes and ears open at all times, looking for ideas and sparks of inspiration, because they're everywhere. If you train your brain to look for them, you have no shortage of them.
It is a fun way to live, to maintain that curiosity and always be scanning and seeking for what is interesting and sparky. It's fun. It's a fun way to live.
And now it's our job to do it. So we're locked in. We're locked and loaded.
It is our job. There's a few things. I just feel like, let's just tease a few things. We don't have to go into it deep, but there's some exciting things coming up that I would just like to brush. I just like to brush them.
Brush it, Susan.
Because we've been building some cool these old hands have been building some cool shit. So for years, Laura Camien has been wanting a creative community where we already have the SparkFile community of people who have worked with the SparkFile, who have taken our courses, is kick ass. And Laura Camien was like, can we formalize this? Can we create a space where people can show up and come together? Even if folks who are like, I don't need to take a course right now, but I want a place to go. And so we've
yeah, that's what we kept hearing from people, when they were stepping off of a course. It's like, well, I want to stay in touch. I want to stay connected.
And so we have built it. And soon, timing TBD, we'll be sharing that so people can get into that.
Sooner than you think.
We have the New Year's Creativity Kickoff.
That's right around the corner.
For many people, an annual tradition to reset their creativity for the new year. That's coming up. And then we've got a fresh Blaze course coming in January. There's a lot of great stuff coming up in the SparkFile.
I think we might even have a free workshop somewhere in there too. So y'all don't even know.
The hits just keep on coming.
I'm excited for this.
There's nothing I love more than podcasting. This is one of my greatest joys in life.
And our last season was different. It was a little experiment. We did a partnership with Town Hall and we got to talk to some amazing people. But as part of that experiment, we divided and conquered. So each one of us would take an interview.
That's right.
Which means we haven't been sitting on these mics and talking to each other for quite some time.
I'm so excited to be back, having these conversations with you, making this podcast, sharing it with the people. I love it. Do
you remember when we first started and we were like, I wonder if we'll be able to, like, if we have an hour-long podcast, will we even fill the hour? And y'all, we talked for like 3 hours. We're like, well, I guess we're going to be fine.
We're keeping it leaner now. Don't be scared.
We're keeping it leaner. But we talk every day and we're still able to talk more.
And talk. But Laura Camien.
Yes, Susie Blackwell.
Kicking off season 6 with a bang of a spark. Are you ready to spark me?
I'm sparking you?
Yeah.
Oh, why, yes, I am. You know what? I thought it was the other way around, but good thing I am prepared. Woo! Yes, Susan, I am.
That gave you a little thrill. I saw it run through you. Jesus.
And we've got video of it, so that's going to be fun to rewatch. Yes, Susan, I'm seriously excited to talk to you about this spark. I think that since this little spark drifted into my life, I have spoken about it at least 17 times since it grabbed a hold of me. Anybody who's spent any time with me, like if you have hung out with me for 15
them by the lapels
minutes,
and you're like, listen to me.
I heard this thing. I have to share it with you.
Some of these sparks, they get me like that. And I'm just like, I can't not wait. Like you sit down for coffee with somebody, or if you feel fully armed at a party, you're like,
yes,
I've got something I'm ready to talk about.
Yes. And now I get to share this with you. And you may have heard pieces of this. And if you have, pretend like you haven't.
I'll act surprised.
Mm-hmm. I know you will. Okay. Listen, the other day I had the opportunity to talk to Dr. Dan Siegel. He's a neuroscientist. Susan, you would love this
Just
man.
dropping big names
right
from the jump.
You would love this man. So smart. I could not write fast enough. I was like, oh my God. Every single thing that he said. So I'm going to give you a top line today. But it was chock full of good stuff. He's so smart. He is the author of about 1 million books like Mindsight, The New Science of Personal Transformation, The Mindful Brain, Reflection and Attunement in the Cultivation of Well-Being, The Whole Brain Child. I know you'd like that, Susan. I mean, you're not a child, but just the fact that someone took the whole brain concept for kids.
I love that.
You love this guy. He's also written The Pocket Guide to Interpersonal Neurobiology and Aware, The Science and Practice of Presence. His training is in pediatrics and child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. I seriously think you would like his work, Suze.
Nice.
He's known as a mindfulness expert. That's all one word. It's mindfulness. And he essentially developed the entire field of interpersonal neurobiology. What is interpersonal neurobiology, you say? It's an interdisciplinary framework that studies how our brain, mind, and relationships interact to shape who we are. It can also be called relational neuroscience, but the field integrates insights from various sciences, including neuroscience, psychology, sociology, to understand how relationships influence brain development and how the brain affects our connections with others.
Amazing. Would you say
Amazing.
again the three pieces? You just said
It's the brain, the mind, and relationships and how they interact
the brain, the mind, and relationships and how they interact.
to shape who we are.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that again.
You bet. So we were talking about creativity, of course, because what else is there?
What else are
really?
you going to talk about?
I mean, specifically, we were digging into the topic of creating the conditions necessary to establish a practice of creativity in our lives. And by practice, I mean the conditions necessary to make creative breakthroughs more frequent and intentional. Because we all know that sometimes, it can feel like creative ideas are those lightning bolts of inspiration that come to us randomly. It's easy to think that we don't have access to them when we want them. We're just sort of like waiting for that lightning bolt to happen. But this is not actually true. As we know, we can have access to our creativity when we need it, and we can have agency over it. But we do have to set the stage. So here we are talking about these conditions necessary to make creativity more frequent and intentional. The reason we're talking about that topic is because, as you know, Suze, I am co-writing a book with Matt Goldman, the co-founder of Blue Man Group, about this very topic. So it'll be for anyone or any team that is required to produce creative ideas on a regular basis. What are the conditions that need to be established? I'm sure I'm going to be talking about this topic throughout this whole season of the podcast. So just get used to it, friends. It's very top of mind. But as part of our research, we were talking to Dr. Dan Siegel.
This is so exciting, Laura.
Thanks. I freaking love it.
I'm so excited about you, the work that you're doing with Matt Goldman and the book and getting to hobnob with Dr. Dan Siegel. But also, I love that we're going to be able to take directly from this conversation that you had and apply it to our own lives, share it with our clients and people in the SparkFile community, listeners of the pod. I just want to tell you, sorry to interrupt, super excited. Please continue.
I'm excited. You're excited. It's thrilling for me. And it's just another piece of what we do, which is think obsessively about creativity 24/7. So it's more of that. And I'm here for it. If you've never had the pleasure of talking to a neuroscientist about how the brain works, I just want to recommend that. If you ever get a chance to, just frickin' snatch that opportunity up.
Damn.
I literally felt my brain popping off with ideas like every 2 seconds.
Oh my God.
And it was like becoming keenly aware of my neurons firing and connections being made.
Yes.
Which is crazy because Dr. Siegel was talking about meta awareness, which is, of course, becoming aware of your own awareness.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's happening right now. It's happening in this moment. So here we are. We're talking about creativity, and I think I'm going to call him Dan. I could be Dan Siegel throughout this whole episode, but I'm going to say Dan. It's Dan. So Dan says, one of the biggest killers of creative thinking is the fact that we only see what we believe already. It's like confirmation bias. Our brain tends to seek, interpret, and remember information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
We become certain that we are right about something, and we ignore or dismiss any other evidence that contradicts what we think we already know.
Right.
So Dan said, you only see what you believe. To see deeply, you must always challenge what you believe. Which I'm just like, I know that, but sometimes I think we forget to remember to do that. We start by questioning, like, well, what is this belief that I'm holding in the first place? And is that really true? And where did that come from? And how long have I thought this? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then he said that neuroscientists have a joke that there is no such thing as immaculate perception. I mean, come on. It feels pretty good to be on the inside of some neuroscientist jokes.
You are such a nerd.
I'm such a nerd. There's no such thing as immaculate perception. Of course, I looked up the phrase because I was like, who came up with that? It was Nietzsche who
Immaculate
coined
perception?
immaculate perception. And it describes that feeling you have when you are absolutely convinced that your way of seeing things is right.
Yeah.
Like if everyone else just understood the world the way you do, everything would be so much clearer.
Mm-hmm.
And Suze, I'm sure you and I have talked about this. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but my mom had this. Like 24/7, my mom had this. She used to be so bothered by people who didn't agree with her. If you didn't agree with her, she'd just keep pushing the same perspective and say, I just need you to understand me. And eventually I realized, oh, she means I need you to acknowledge I'm right about this.
Agree with me.
I need you to agree with me.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
if you understood me, you would see that my perspective is the right one. And after years of therapy, eventually I was able to say to her lovingly, of course, Mom, I do understand what you're saying. I don't entirely agree with you, but that's okay. I understand where you're coming from. Thank you for sharing your perspective. But it kind of drove her crazy because she truly did believe that her perception was the right one on almost everything. The thing is, this relates to the conversation that we've had about writing true stories from our past too, Suze.
Yeah.
There is no single true version of any event. Every person involved in a situation is going to see it through their own lens of experiences, their own perception, and none of them is immaculate.
Rashomon is a creative example of that sort of filmmaking or storytelling from the perspective of different
All
players.
different.
And
Yes. Same event, same central
event.
event.
Yeah.
Yep. If you haven't seen the Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield film After the Hunt, first of all,
does that do that too?
Oh, Suze, in a different way. It doesn't show you the same event from multiple perspectives, but throughout this movie, I thought it illustrated this point so well. I'm going to try not to spoil the movie for you because I think it's just getting to streamers now. So please watch it. But I'll say this. The story is about a college professor who's accused of inappropriate sexual behavior by a student. And there are so many perspectives at play. There are coworkers, former lovers, intergenerational perspectives, different races, different economic status. And at first, like you spend the first part of the movie trying to figure out if he did it and what exactly did he do. And then there was a scene where it just hit me all at once. I had this really profound moment. It's not said in the movie, but it was like, boom, it just like smacked me in the face. Like this voice in my head just said, oh, there is no truth. There is only each person's individual truth. And that's all we're ever going to know.
Mm.
We're not going to get to the bottom of it. We're not going to, do you know what I mean? And we all want that so much. And this screenwriter, Nora Garrett, first-time screenwriter, wrote this without an agent, sold it.
Get it, Nora.
Get it, Nora. How she pulled this off, I was just like, and I've seen it twice. I saw it twice in the movie theater.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding you.
Full price tickets.
Full price tickets, both times. Yeah.
Damn. That's a high recommendation.
I'll probably watch it again when it comes on streamer because there are certain lines in it too that I was like, yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
Say the name of it again.
It's called After the Hunt. Yeah, I might also, this is seriously sidebar now. I might also do another Spark about it because you know how I said there's like intergenerational, intergender, all of these different perspectives in it. And when you watch it, of course, I fell into a particular, white woman of a certain age.
Sure.
And there were some things in there that made me go, ew, I think I've thought that before. And I don't like that I've thought that before. So you might hear of this again in this season. We might dig in a little further to this movie.
I like art that makes you challenge the way you're thinking about things. That's the best.
Right? And challenge your beliefs, which is what Dr. Dan Siegel tells us we always have to do. If we want to see deeply, we must always be challenging our own beliefs. So as all of this relates to our creativity, the more convinced we are about our own rightness, the less open we are to new ideas. And that's true in our creative life as well. We narrow the number of possible solutions or ideas that we might come up with every time we cling to the certainty about being right about something. As Dan said, the brain is a predictive machine. It craves certainty. So you have to be aware. There's your meta awareness. Be aware of your awareness that your brain is going to want to be certain about something. It wants to predict the outcome based on past experiences and then live in the certainty of its own assessment. Uncertainty is so uncomfortable. Our brains want to get the fuck out of uncertainty as quickly as possible.
Yes.
That's what our brain thinks its job is.
Yeah.
But the problem is our creativity lives in the uncertainty. When we're in uncertainty, we actually have the greatest amount of possibility in front of us. Anything could happen. All ideas are on the table and our creativity is lit up. Dan said, and this, I was like, whoa, thank you for that perspective shift, Dan. He said the synonyms for uncertainty are freedom and possibility. Fucking freedom and possibility. Not two words that people would come up with most of the time when feeling uncertain about things.
And will you say it one more time? The synonyms for uncertainty
are freedom and possibility.
It's challenging for me to
I know it is.
Get my mind around
I know it is, Susan. I thought of you immediately because freedom is such a word, that's so resonant for you. And I think what was so interesting to me was to challenge this belief that I've had for a long time. I've only ever thought of uncertainty as a bad thing.
Uncomfortable, anxiety provoking.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And now Dan has a whole explanation for all of this that I'm not even going to try to get into, but essentially it has to do with what he calls the plane of possibility and where are we when we're living with the most number of options and possible outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's in uncertainty.
Yeah.
And with every single thing that becomes certain, it's not going to be any day of the week. It's going to be on Tuesday. Oh, okay. Well, that's going to narrow what might happen. It's not going to be during the day. It's going to be in the evening. Oh, okay. That's going to narrow what it's not going to be in person. It's going to be on Zoom. That's going to narrow and narrow and narrow. And as you go, the number of outcomes is smaller. The amount of possibility is smaller. Mm-hmm. Now, we have a whole other episode or 2 or 5 or 10 episodes that talk about creative limitations.
Exactly.
Because it will help you get to an answer, right? Yeah. Sometimes we actually need to start finding some things that are certain that limit us so that we can narrow.
And sometimes creative limitation is thrust upon us.
And sometimes it's thrust upon us. But the fact that I've only ever thought of uncertainty as a bad thing kind of rocked my world. Mm-hmm. I was like, what would happen if I could embrace uncertainty as a like living in the plane of possibility. All options are on the table. Could it be an exciting place or at least a curious place to swim around in before like racing for the exit? Like, get me the fuck out of here, which is how I would normally feel. Like, so proud of myself. When I reflect back, I'm like so proud that I'm almost always like, I feel uncertain. This is uncomfortable. Decisions must be made. Here we go. We're going to do this, this, and this, and that'll do it. And I'm like, oh, interesting. So I am, becoming aware of this and beginning to expand my idea of uncertainty and my understanding of it. And interesting, Susan, I actually think I began this exploration at least a year ago. I was able to mention to Dan the book that I talked about in a previous episode. Remember, I talked about Wellness by Nathan Hill? Because that blew my mind. And I was like, Dan, there's a sentence in that book that I became convinced this sentence is the whole reason why I read this book. It's exactly what I needed to hear. And that sentence is, we can choose to be certain or we can choose to be alive. Susan, I got to tell you, I was so psyched because Dan was like, yes, that is exactly it. And there's a very, very special feeling of pride when you contribute something to a conversation with a neuroscientist. For me, anyway, I was like, that's right, Dan. That's right. That's my gift to you. That little quote from Nathan Hill. So we were like really, I don't know, bonding on this idea. And just the fact that like remaining attached to certainty will keep us from experiencing all the possibilities of life. It'll keep us from experiencing the full potential of our creativity. The reality is, for all of us creatives, we must embrace uncertainty to access possibility. That's where it lives. That's where it lives.
So in the SparkFile creative community, we have making time sessions. We have creativity labs where we just invite people to show up at certain times of the week on the Zoom, and we all get in there. Some people work out loud. Some people work in a quiet library-like atmosphere all together on Zoom. How do we cultivate this spirit of uncertainty so that we're setting the table for our creativity?
Well, it's interesting, Suze, that you say that, because I just had a new thing that we've added to our coaching programs, which was our Coach's Corner. And unsurprisingly, this topic came up because one of our clients was like almost distraught that she didn't have the answer yet. Mm-hmm. She didn't know yet. And I wondered aloud, might she be able to live in the uncertainty of it for a little while, celebrate that, and to live in it as a celebration and as a curiosity, as opposed to, I'm frustrated, I'm fighting against this,
I'm failing,
I'm mad at myself for not knowing yet. So I think that on the very front end, that's how it lives for me, of like, it's okay to not know exactly. A lot of times we're working with clients and they're like, I don't know if this is a novel or a book of poems or a TED Talk. Okay. It's not a problem. Maybe you don't need to know that right now.
And we can still take action even within that not knowing, even within the uncertainty.
100%.
I'll tell you a way that I'm feeling this spark. So in such a great way right now. So I have been thinking a lot about, I don't put my painting and my art making on Front Street.
Yeah.
But I love making paintings and art and crafts and things like that. And I'm looking at them right now in a corner of my office. I have 4 huge white canvases. Typically when I approach making a piece of art, I put a lot of pre-production into it, and I do a lot of studies of it, and I mock it up small scale, and then I do it I do the real one.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, these canvases came to me for free. I didn't pay
Mhm.
anything for them. I have all the art supplies. I don't have to buy anything. There's no financial outlay. What if I didn't pre-plan? What if I laid them down on a tarp? They're giant, Laura.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, what if I didn't plan? What if I popped the cans of paint open
yes.
and just had a variety of tools and on a sunny day went
yes.
and just started?
What if? How does that feel when you say that?
I feel excited and I feel a little anxious that I'm going to, quote unquote, ruin or waste because I didn't carefully plan, and not just like waste art supplies, waste my time.
I mean, that's always a possibility
Yeah.
in the plane of possibility. Could it be like, oh, this whole thing was a major flop? Sure, that's on the plane of possibility.
But as my husband reminded me, he's like, you can always just paint over it, take it
over
back
it. to
white and start over again.
Exactly. And you will always take something from that experience.
Yes.
There will upon reflection, there'll be a moment where you're like, I know that I should have turned right and I turned left instead, and whoopsie.
I remember that afternoon.
Yeah. There's no what do you like to say? You always like to say nothing is for naught.
Nothing is for naught.
Even if it doesn't turn out to be the masterpiece that you are hoping. But the other also on the plane of possibility is that you could surprise the shit out of yourself and come up with something so much more dynamic and exciting than you would have if all of it was under control.
That's right.
You might be like, what? Where did that come from? I didn't even know that was in me.
Yeah. It's exciting, Laura.
So I want to leave you with one more thought. Dan shared this quote after we, bonded over the quote that I shared with him. Okay, let's be real.
You dropped the mic, flipped the table, and left the restaurant.
Well, then he one-upped me because he's like, well, I've got a quote for you. Dan shared this quote from the artist Rashid. I think it's in the Brooklyn Public Library, he said. It's on display there. It's a big, big thing. Rashid said, having abandoned the flimsy fantasy of certainty, I decided to wander. Having abandoned the flimsy fantasy of certainty, I decided to wander. I fucking love it. First of all, certainty is a flimsy fantasy. Yeah. Not one of us can be certain of anything. And if we think we can be, we are kidding ourselves.
Yeah.
And the sooner we can accept that, the more we can access our creativity and our imagination. Mm-hmm. So I leave you with this thought and this hope. May we all be like Rashid and decide to wander into our imaginations and wade into the waters of possibility.
I love it, Laura. And I'll end with this new acronym, ABCYOB. Always be challenging your own beliefs.
There you go.
ABCYOB. TGIF, baby.
Oh, that is taken off as we speak. I think we're going viral on that, baby.
Isn't it? It's trending.
That's me, Spark. That's it right there.
Wonderful, Spark. Thanks to you and through you, thanks to Matt Goldman and Dan Siegel. I feel like we are going, Spark File is going to be the beneficiary of a lot of goodness.
Some smarts.
So thank you, Laura Camien.
You betcha.
Really appreciate that.
Here to help.
Oh my God, that's it. This episode of the Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape and the Mohican people. And as always, we hope this put another bunch of sparks into your file. Hey, listen, if there's a spark that you would like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to coach with us to accomplish your creative goals, you can email getcreative@thesparkfile.com. Or you can reach us through our website, thesparkfile.com.
You know, we will even happily take your feedback, but the price of admission, first you have to share a creative risk that you have taken recently.
What's it going to be? What's it going to be?
Mm.
You can follow us on social at The Spark File and be sure to subscribe, rate, 5-star review this podcast. It really does help other listeners to find us. Also, if you like this podcast, we hope you'll share it with people you love. And if you didn't like it, always be challenging your own beliefs.
Nice, Susan. That was beautiful. That was a work of art right there. Friends, if something lights you up and gets your creative sparks flying, we are writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take that spark and fan it into a flame.
You know, you got to take it
And make it.
Great spark. We're back, baby. Woo!
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I wanna make or how I wanna be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Can you identify an Elphaba just from her defying gravity war cry?
Can you name every actress in the Wicked to Waitress pipeline?
Or does the phrase witch switch mean anything to you?
Well then,
Good news!
My name's Quincy,
And my name's Kevin.
and we're the hosts of Sentimental Men,
We're here to talk
and maybe scream.
about our favorite women in musical theater, the witches of Wicked. So if spending a Friday night in a no good deed rabbit hole on YouTube sounds like your idea of a good time, then Sentimental Men is the podcast for you.
And with guests like Jessica Vosk, Lucy Jones, and Stephanie J. Block, chances are we've already got an episode with your favorite Elphaba.
Or Glinda, like Laura Bell Bundy, Brittany Johnson, and Mackenzie Kurtz.
So pause your riff compilations, put down your copy of The Grimmery, and give Sentimental Men a listen.
You can find us on the Broadway Podcast Network or wherever you listen to podcasts.